Hello everyone and welcome back to Pennyhill Junction. So it's been about 4 weeks now since I posted my very first video on YouTube, and although progress has been slow in those 4 weeks, particularly with the construction of the loft, I'm still pleased with what I've done so far, and remain on track, very much on track with my initial sort of project plan. So before I move on to the progress actually in the loft and how far I've come so far, I want to go back to the track plan. Now, on the last video, I spent some time going through some detail of the first track plan, and I guess like any model railway enthusiast, you know, track plans, even existing layouts, sort of change frequently as new ideas sort of pop into our head, etc. What's helped me to implement new ideas is spending more time in the loft. I've been able to understand the space a lot better, and perhaps where I can fit different sections, and also viewing numerous hours of YouTube videos and advice from all those fantastic people out in the model railway community. It's given me some fabulous ideas of how I can really sort of develop and improve my layout. So as you can see from the screen, this is the very first layout that I published on video one. So just as a bit of a recap, we see at the top here, this is Pennyhill Junction Station. Okay, and you can see on the outside, you've got the sort of two mainline sections there, which go into an elevated section, which starts off the end of the bend, goes right round this section here. This crossing here is a road bridge, which goes over what was going to be a fiddle yard at the bottom here. And then this section here would start the decline back into the station. This was going to be a sort of small suburban type station with a town or village scene in this section here. And right on the left, there's going to be a sort of fiddle yard slash seconds TMD. However, since then, as I say, I've had several revisions of the layout, and this is where I'm at currently. As again, I'm sure it will change, and once I even get the baseboard laid out in the loft, and I start to look at things from a real life aspect, I'm sure the layout will almost definitely change again. But this is where we are at the moment. This is version 4, probably about 4.2 of the layout. The station pretty much remains the same. Not very much of a difference there. I've added a few more points so I can sort of join up all the lines. The fiddle yard now remains on the left, but I've made a more curved approach into the fiddle yard, sort of sweeping curves in there, with some very long sidings, so I can hopefully fit a full rake of coaches from a high-speed train, for example. I've now moved the TMD from the bottom to the right, as you can see there. This will be a diesel maintenance depot. Perhaps down here I might have a fueling area. I have kept a second station in the layout, which is going to be at the bottom now, on the long stretch of the layout. This section here remains an elevated section. The crossing has moved over to the right, but you'll see that it will still be sort of a road bridge, which now goes over this new station. So the actual station building will be on an elevated section with steps going down to the station. Very similar to those of you that are familiar with Barnabas Junction or Dean Park Station, a similar sort of station effect to that. In addition to that, I've started to look at where I'm going to start to place some of the scenery on the layout. And this middle section is going to be open space, so sort of my control deck. I'm also going to have a small access area here, so I can get in between, and will help me to sort of do any sort of scenery, extra scenery, wiring, etc. In that area of the layout. The elevated section that I described here for the station will actually run right across and remain elevated to the very end here. So this whole section, including the track, will be an elevated section. And down here in this part, I'm going to look to put in some sort of housing estate, perhaps, very modern housing estate. This section here also remain elevated. And there I'm going to have a retail park of some sort. Down here I'm going to have, again, on another elevated section, perhaps a business unit, maybe some emergency services depot in that position. The main station building for Pennyhill Junction will be in this sort of location here. I'm going to have a little sort of rail side pub, like a railway arms pub, just there. Signal box probably be positioned in this point here, and then either side of the station building, I'll have like bus stop, taxi rank, car park, etc. Running alongside the fiddle yard / TMD number 2, I'm going to have a road here, and alongside the road, scattered down the road, I'm going to have various sort of shops, maybe MOT service centre, etc. And that pretty much rounds off all the scenery that I have in plan for now. As I say, the likelihood is that will change more than once between now and actually putting the layout down on baseboard. But as I said, having the chance now to look at lots of ideas on various YouTube videos, speaking to guys on model railway groups, etc., and also just getting a vision of the loft and how things are really coming together up there. Yeah, it's all finally starting to take shape, and I'm just looking forward to really getting busy with laying down track as soon as the baseboards are installed, which if I remain on schedule, I hope to get the sort of first baseboards down early April, maybe around the sort of Easter holiday period. Okay, so that's where we are in terms of the current track plan. So we'll move on now to some videos of the progress which we've made in the loft. Okay, so this is where we are. The first thing you'll probably notice from the loft hatch there is I've got a ladder. I actually borrowed that from my next door neighbour. Some of you who follow me on Twitter remember just a few days ago a very eventful day where I fell out the loft and hurt my shoulder and knee, but all seems to be well. Quickly recovered and back to work this weekend on boarding the loft. So made some good progress over the last 4 weeks, probably a total about 12 hours worth of work. But you can see it's looking much better. It's really opening up the space now. Just got a couple of gaps that still need to be filled, which I'm planning to finish off this weekend, and then we can. The real focus then will be getting some power and lighting into the loft. Also want to get some foil insulation onto the roof, and then once that's all in place, really it's the next step is then to start building the baseboard, start constructing the baseboard. You'll see there on the floor there's some MDF panels. Them MDF panels are from my very old layout, as I said, nearly 20 years ago. I'm actually using those. I'm not going to be using those on the layout. Some sections I might use if I'm doing any elevated sections, etc. I might use portions of that and cut it up, etc. But I'm actually using it to put a bit more support on the floor, in particular the areas I'm going to be standing on. The floor is not load bearing. They're storage panels, So they do support 150 kilos, and I'm far from that. Uh, but just to give that extra support, I've put some of those MDF panels down there in the areas in particular that I'm going to be spending a lot of time standing, sort of around the sort of control deck area. But as you can see, lots of open space now. It's all sort of coming into place, and really looking forward now to the next step, as I say, which is getting electric lighting, and then we can make a start on the baseboard. Okay, so I'm still a good sort of 2 to 3 months away from even sort of laying my first baseboard, let alone putting down any sort of track in place. But that hasn't deterred me from going out and starting to purchase a few bits just to get me going, and also, like most of us who are model railway enthusiasts, even having a sort of simple layout at times, just running on the kitchen floor excites us at times, and so I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait another 2 or 3 months to start buying bits and pieces. So I thought I'd make a start now, just to keep the enthusiasm levels up, and keep my motivation on the project going for as long as possible. So you'll see there from the picture on the screen. So a couple of things that I've bought there. I bought some third radius track to make an oval section. I bought some long pico track, straight tracks. Also bought a Hornby DC controller. I will be going to DCC at some point, but this is again just to get me started. Got the Hornby power track, a couple of pico standard straight tracks, and also I'm pleased to say, which I'll go into in more detail shortly, my very first loco for the layout. I've never had a diesel locomotive, so to have this Class 66 is a really good purchase for me, and I'm quite excited about having that running on the layout, hopefully in the next couple of months. So here it is in more detail. As I said, my very first diesel locomotive. Uh, it is the Schenker Class 66 DP World London Gateway in a lovely red livery there. Quite a bargain, only £59 from Hatton's. So cheap as chips. It's a fairly sort of basic locomotive. There's no lights. It is DCC ready, so we'll have that fitted at some point. As I say, it's just one that I wanted to get something cheap to get me started. I really liked the look of it. Sort of fell in love with the nice red livery, and always wanted a diesel locomotive. And I do like the Class 66. So yeah, so very pleased with the purchase. So as you can see there, for such a sort of basic cheap model, still some very nice detail on the loco itself there. Now you'll see from the image on the screen, I had a bit of a result whilst working in the loft, moving boxes around as I sort of clear sort of space to lay more and more floorboards. I found a large cardboard box which had train stuff written on the top, which obviously immediately excited me. Um, so upon opening the box, I found this sort of pile of decent kit at the bottom of the box, plus bags full of tracks and turnouts, etc. A lot of it's all Hornby kit. In terms of the track, I'm looking to go down the Pico route, but this will help me certainly with some initial sort of layout testing and track planning, etc. And slowly I'll move across to Pico. As I say, but it's a really great discovery. Unfortunately, a lot of this stuff doesn't work. I purchased this stuff, I think 1998, so very nearly 20 years old. So that the motors are dried out and seized up, and there's parts broken. But I think it can all be repaired. So I'm looking forward to trying to fix these and get them sort of working in time for when we get some sort of track laid down, and it'll be good to see these units back in action in the very near future. So it's pretty much sort of quadrupled my fleet um, in just a couple of days. So really excited to have all my old stuff for the new layout. So looking more closely at what I found in the loft, I'll start with this nice little networker suburban train. So yeah, this used to be my little pride and joy. Lovely little runner it used to be. Love the network southeast livery. As you can see, still in very good condition for its age, albeit one broken bogie there. Uh, but as you can see, still in very good condition. The body, the shell in the main is in good condition. So that's the broken bogie has fallen out there. So I'll look to get that replaced. Also the bogie which holds the motor, that's also broken, or you can't see it from that image there. But again, I'll look to get that replaced and probably get the motor either fixed or replaced as well as I believe that's all seized up. Also have this model, the original sort of Hornby Eurostar train pack. As I say, nearly 20 years old, £71.99. I don't think you would get that at the same price today. But again, similar to the network, pristine condition. You know, a lot of these items have got very little use. When I first purchased them 20 years ago, I set up a fairly small layout, maybe using for a couple of months, and then my first child come along 17 years ago, and yeah, the rest, as I say, is history, and the model railway project went on hold for many years. This was my first high-speed train. If you don't include the Lima Intercity 125 model that I had sort of back in the late 80s. This is the first one I purchased for myself. So I think this is the first Virgin livery, class 43. See the power car there, the maiden Voyager. Again, very good condition. Unfortunately, the ring-filled motor has seized up, so again, another one that needs to be repaired. And there's the lady in red dummy car. Again, the train pack comes with two open coaches. Purchased some additional coaches at the time, and to go with the train pack, making up to a rake of 5 coaches. You'll see there's a second class, first class coach, and also the buffet car. £16.50, 20 years ago for a coach, not bad. 100% increase there or thereabouts in the last 20 years. Moving on here, we have the one and only Flying Scotsman. So yes, the only steam engine I've ever purchased. This one also has a ring-filled motor. So again, we've got some problems there in terms of the motor has seized up. So it needs to be either serviced, repaired, or replaced. But again, that gives me something to work on over the next sort of few weeks, couple of months or so. But looking at the model again, pristine condition, fabulous detail, and hopefully we can get it back in action and running around the layout in due course. So with the Flying Scotsman, I purchased these 3 LNER coaches. So we have the sleeping car there, the composite brake car, as well as the composite coach. In addition to that, I just bought a little wagon many years ago. So fantastic discovery, and yeah, plenty of kit to get me going. So in addition to my fantastic loft discovery, I also managed to obtain a few additional items from my next door neighbour. My next door neighbour, bless him, he's in his late 70s now, and he's had his own layout for some time. But yeah, he's struggling to get into the loft himself now, so he wants his layout to go to a good home where it's going to get lots of use. Unfortunately, in terms of some of the track, I've managed to recover. It's not in great condition, but again, it will help towards track planning. But there were a few items which are really good. In particular here, what you can see from the image, some of these Oxford model cars, particularly the taxis, which will take pride of place inside the taxi rank, I'm sure, outside the station. So yeah, fantastic condition, little cars, which will certainly find a place within my modern layout. Uh, what I also got was this Intercity 125 from the old British Rail blue-grey livery. Unfortunately, similar to my Virgin Class 43, the ring-filled motor is packed up. But again, I'm fairly confident I can get it working again with either replacement parts or just a thorough service, etc. So I'm sure in due course I can get this working, and it'll be a nice addition to the layout, and hopefully we'll have a couple of HSTs running side by side on the main lines. So yeah, fantastic discovery. Well, I shouldn't say discovery, I say a generous gift from my next door neighbour, and yeah, I'll certainly make sure it takes pride of place in my layout, and continue to use it for many years. Okay, and that's all for this month's update. So the plans over the next month, I'm looking to have the foil insulation put on the roof, hopefully add some electric, so some power and lighting into the loft, and then we should be in a position to start constructing the baseboard. So I want to take this opportunity um, before I go to just thank some fellow YouTubers for their support, and a number of great ideas over the last few weeks. As a shout out go to Barnabas Junction, New Junction, Cottesmore Junction, Clandelo Junction, and also to Valley-Brook. So thanks guys for all your support and advice over recent weeks. It's really is much appreciated. And finally, I'd just like to thank all my new subscribers. So the channel is about a month old now, and I think I'm on almost 40 subscribers already. Lots of views on my first video, and some excellent feedback. So please continue to provide your feedback, positive and constructive. Everything's taken on board. Very open to suggestions and improvements on the layout. Thanks again for watching. Bye now.